We're going to have a quick question and answer period. If anyone has any questions about anything in our talks or anything about the companions, and if there's no further questions after that, we'll just break into small groups and break these questions down. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
I have a question about what you were just talking about. So how do you do this in 5 minutes? How do you tell this story in 5 minutes?
So we were referring to the kerygma.
Right.
So we said, because each step of the kerygma, there's only 4 steps. So you can say each one in like a minute and a couple seconds very quickly. And the thing is just to get it out there, and then if he asks for more questions, then it's a way to start the conversation. But to just deliver it point blank, we do believe that there's a power in just letting the gospel out. But usually it leads to questions because they disagree with one of them. Usually it's sin. Yeah, so it's a good conversation starter, but you can get the whole gospel out in about 5 minutes. Yeah.
It's the personal part of sin that people disagree with a lot of the time. They can agree with, like, in general people sin, but I don't really sin, that my sin doesn't have an effect or whatever. But that's, yeah. Yes.
My son said to me, I know there's a Jesus, but I don't know that he's God.
So that's a tough question as well, because there's a lot of people that want to say, and different sort of faith traditions as well, the Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons that don't believe that Jesus is God. But we believe that sort of the death and the resurrection primarily being sort of the chief proof that Jesus is God, because no one could raise himself from the dead. And Jesus, sort of throughout the scriptures, particularly says that he is God and refers to himself as I am. The miracles that he does, the things that he says, primarily showing that he is God.
Another thing is that I don't know with your son, but I know that a lot of people kind of revere Jesus as a great moral teacher, probably a guy who was ahead of his time, could kind of speak truth to authority and social structures and kind of the religion of the day. But C.S. Lewis talks about how Jesus didn't leave an option for him to just be a good moral teacher. He said he either has to be a lunatic, he has to be a liar, or he has to be Lord. That those are the only 3 options that he left for us. The reason he can't, because if he is just a good moral teacher, he says some pretty crazy things. Like he gives himself divine titles, and so if he's giving himself divine titles, you could say, well, he's just crazy. I know people who I see maybe on street corners who say that they're God, and they say that a whole bunch of other things. But that's also what we don't see in Jesus, is that he is able to argue with and defeat the arguments of very well-trained religious leaders they leave him baffled and really angry that he's kind of danced around their arguments. So he doesn't show himself being a lunatic, even though he's saying these outrageous things, claiming that he's Lord of the Sabbath, that he can forgive sins, all these things that to any Jew, to hear that would say, man, you can't say that. Like that is for God alone, and it brings the death penalty. He also, you may be saying, well, he's a liar. He's not a lunatic, he's a liar. Again, with the whole trying to start a cult religion thing. But the same rules for what happened to the apostles apply to Jesus. He deliberately is provoking very powerful people again and again and again, leading, of course, to his crucifixion in such a graphic and horrible way. It doesn't make sense that he was a liar just trying to get it in for himself, leaving, of course, the fact that he is who he says he is, that he's not crazy and he's not lying, that he is the Lord. So I don't know if any of that helps, but maybe it's some things you could talk with your son about and see what he thinks about that.